I'm Raheem Dixon, aka DV Big Red 1, and this is the Beamtown Breakdown. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's finally here, Battlefield 6 multiplayer. Ooh-wee! Right now, Battlefield is looking like the girl that hit her glow up, came back, and everybody wants her. We're talking this is a miscongeniality right now. EA, DICE, they pulled a pretty woman on us. This is unbelievable. Before we get into anything crazy, I just want to talk about the masterclass that EA and DICE are putting on to showcase Battlefield 6, especially coming off of low momentum in 2042. Battlefield 6 is being showcased as if the rent is due at EA and DICE. So I gotta give props where it's due. I mean, if you look at the showcase, it looks fantastic. Streamers are out. They're all playing the game. It actually looks like people are enjoying themselves. It looks like the energy's in the room. Now, granted, we're not going to talk about how terrible the streamers were doing in the game stream section of the showcase. Nonetheless, the streamers came out. They're putting on the game. EA, DICE. I mean, this is the presentation we need, especially coming off such low momentum from 2042. You could even theorize and say coming from Battlefield 5. This is exactly the flow that needs to happen to perpetuate this game forward. So one concept that I'm so excited to talk about is gameplay immersion, and I think that is something that is lacking in the game industry nowadays, especially in the realm of first-person shooters. When you think of gameplay immersion, you think of games like Red Dead Redemption 2. You walk into a bar, you can feel the bar, right? You can walk down the street of Valentine, you can feel all of the things happening, whether there's a wagon pulling groceries, whether there are people fighting outside in the street. You can feel all of that around you, and Battlefield 6 is doing something very interesting by scrutinizing upon how much gameplay immersion is in the game. Now there have been rumors that they brought back people from the BF1 team to bring an atmosphere, bring a balance to what that feels like, the quality of what that feels like. And if you remember playing Battlefield 1, there was so much atmospheric immersion within that game, whether you're running through the trenches, mud on your face, or soaring high in the sky in planes, you're passing through clouds. So that is something that is underlooked in the gaming industry nowadays, because a lot of companies feel like when it comes to immersion, oh, they're not really focused on that. They don't really care about that. They care about these things. And so what this shows is EA and DICE, they're paying attention to their player base. They're paying attention to the things that are important. And it is, I mean, the gameplay looks fantastic, and you can feel it as you're watching the trailers. If you're still not convinced that the developers are focused on immersion and bringing an experience to the game, then we need to talk about kinesthetic gameplay and how this directly ties into immersion. Now, I'm not going to Bill Nye you to death. I'm not going to give you a science lesson, but I want you to think about every single game you've ever played in your life up to this point. Now, think about how those games felt. Think about how you interacted with those environments in those games and how those environments responded back to you. What Battlefield 6 is doing is they are focusing on kinesthetic gameplay. And what that just means in layman's terms is gameplay feel? What does the game feel like?
For Battlefield 6, we've reapproached combat and rebuilt it from the ground up to create an experience the team calls the Kinesthetic combat system. Designed to give you a wider range of tactical and reflexive options during the heat of battle. It's about being aware of what's around you. How you move, how you shoot, and how to use destruction are all carefully balanced and work together to define this new system. With Drag and Revive, you can now cross no man's land to save a downed squad mate by pulling them to safety while reviving them. You can also lean and peek around corners. You can mount weapons on walls, crouch while sprinting, and even perform agile rolls while escaping enemy fire.
Honestly, in this day and age, it's so exciting for me to hear that a company is building something from the ground up or going back to the drawing board with the things that have made their game great. Now, I can't really speak to a kinesthetic combat system being in other battlefields other than the gameplay just being smooth and fun to play. Nonetheless, that is still exciting news, and what's even more exciting is the class system coming back to Battlefield. The reason this is so important is because the class system is so foundational to Battlefield in that it brings a balance to the game. There's no one too overpowered, and it brings us back to what makes Battlefield great, and it's that squad immersion. It's being able to play with your friends, and your friends feel like that they can contribute in the game as well. They're bringing the assault class back, engineer, support, and recon. And so with that being said, it's going to be very interesting to see how they incorporate the class system, kinesthetic combat support, and how the immersion factor works when you're playing with friends, because there's nothing like getting into a game and feeling like you can't contribute, feeling like your squad is just doing things that are just meaningless and it's just a droning match. It's just you're spawning, you're dying. Oh, spawn on me, I'm at B, I dead. You know, it's just the repeated stuff. And so it seems like they're going back to a point where squad play was so important and so pinnacle to how the game plays and how each match plays, that it'll be definitely very interesting to see how that ties into the experiences and the gameplay over and over again. Essentially, it makes the matches feel fresh. It makes everything feel like it's a new experience, especially when you're playing with your friends. Now, if I know Battlefield, I know that we are going to be stacked with tons of weapons to choose from. BF3 was insane. Hardline was insane. So, judging off of past Battlefields, I am curious to see if they allow us to interchange weapons with each class set. Also, I am curious to see what the customization options are within the game per weapon. I was watching the stream and it seemed like the customization was pretty dope, pretty cool. Nonetheless, I'm always reminiscent of the reveal of Ghost Recon Future Soldier when they did the weapon customization wheel. They opened the gun up. It was super expansive. People's minds were literally blown. So I don't think it's going to be as extensive in this Battlefield. Nonetheless, it's not one of the make or break features to a game like this. However, in the future, if they somehow find a way to incorporate a more expansive weapon customization system, that would be sick. Nonetheless, with the class system coming back, I like that they're taking a more grounded approach to the classes. I am curious to see, even though we are going back to the roots, where will they innovate? One area Battlefield has never struggled with innovation is their multiplayer maps. Battlefield is dropping 9 multiplayer maps at launch. Liberation Peak, Empire State, New Sobek City, Manhattan Bridge, Iberian Offensive, Merak Village, Siege of Cairo, Saints Quarter, and of course, Operation Firestorm. After watching the showcase and seeing the maps on full display, it's clear Battlefield knows exactly what they're doing. Each map feels alive, it feels immersive, not to mention the amount of action that's happening in the different pockets on the map Plus, when it comes to vehicles, all the vehicles are weightier, they're meatier, girthier.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
One thing mentioned during the showcase that I really love about vehicles is now they're going to be simplified for people like myself who are terrible at flying jets and Ospreys. I am notoriously known for loading up a jet, plane, whatever to full capacity, getting high enough to just see the base and then just jump out. And then everybody's like, what the happened to that guy? That's cool to know. I know you'll still need experience. You'll still need to, do your rounds and get good at this stuff. But it's good to know that the controls will be a bit more comfortable. Admittedly, one of my concerns before this game came out was that they would focus on the destruction and it would lead to overcompensation. The destruction looks fantastic. It looks completely supplemental to the gameplay. And as far as immersion goes, that adds to the experience as you're running through walls with friends. Tanks are blowing up around you. Helicopters are crashing into buildings. And they talked about the tactical destruction environments and how you can shoot through floors, pave ways to new passages. So that is definitely going to add to replay value. And it just looks great. I mean, honestly, it just looks fantastic. All right, so let's talk multiplayer modes. It seems like Battlefield 6 is playing it safe at launch. They're dropping the classic Conquest and Rush. They're bringing Breakthrough back. And they're bringing one additional mode into the mix, which is called Escalation. Escalation reads, 2 teams fight to capture strategic control points. As the teams expand their territory, fewer and fewer control points remain, creating increasingly intense areas of combat. This battle for territory culminates in an all-out war where both sides fight to control the last remaining points on the map. Now, if you are a Battlefield 1 connoisseur, one of the best game modes Battlefield has ever incorporated was Operations. And Operations was a culminating event where you played through multiple game modes, and they added a story element to the multiplayer. So as you're advancing through front lines and you're advancing through the multiplayer match, it adds a little story to it, and then they switch modes through the progression. So you're playing Conquest, you're playing Breakthrough, and maybe front lines all in one sitting, which I pray, me and the homies pray, they bring back Operations. Another set of game modes they're bringing back are close quarter battles. Close quarter battles include TDM, Domination, and Squad Deathmatch, the more smaller and condensed modes. However, they are adding King of the Hill, which will be exciting to play, and I don't know if they're going to take a more arena approach. Are they going to increase the squad limit to 6v6, make it more like a traditional multiplayer? Who knows? I hope they find ways to make it fun and intuitive for us to play. I have no doubt Battlefield knows what they're doing when they craft these modes. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So they are bringing Portal back to Battlefield 6. They introduced this in Battlefield 2042. And this time it looks a bit more immersive and more expansive. It's almost reminiscent of the Halo 3 days and Forge and how customizable everything was. You could do ATV races, you could do rocket race. I mean, just unbelievable stuff. And it looks like they are allowing people to have tons of creative freedom in how they can craft matches. You can run hardcore matches. And here's the kicker. You can do all of this, make your own matches, and everything counts towards progression. Unbelievable. I think that's a great way to just get more people involved, get the creatives involved, get the people who don't really want to be in like public things at first, but want to just build. Because a lot of these guys, they'll build these maps and then just disappear and just keep building maps. So it's great for guys like me who like hardcore, like to run hardcore sometimes, and I think Portal as an addition, being this expansive, is a fantastic way to go about launching Battlefield 6. Overall, the showcase was fantastic. Props to EA, DICE, for putting on a hell of a show. It really comes down to the performance of things and how you present your game. You can tell they are putting so much quality into this. You can see the planning, you can see the effort, and ultimately this is looking like the game we need it to be. I have done enough talking. I want to hear from you now. Put it in the comments how you feel about Battlefield. Are you excited? Do you hate it? Are you ready or not? But this has been The Breakdown. I'm your boy DB Big Red 1, and remember, keep sweating, screaming, and beaming. Until next time.